thumbs up if you can.
Here we go.
So we got a recording. I hope you've got an image there of our what are basically overgrown Christmas trees. Because what I'll do is go fairly fast and then have a couple of breaks for questions, if that's okay, because I've sort of got it organized. And my parents and my let's make sure. So my parents, my dad and mom, planted those big trees back began in 1952, which is the year I was born, and probably some of you. They planted them as the first intentional Christmas tree farm in Minnesota, and it's 40 acres. And they didn't have enough money to buy the 40 acres. So they borrowed some from my mother's dad on the right here. So it was really the three of them that started the plantation. And they are standing right where that very first shot with the big red pine, the big forest was. So obviously that original planting, the trees were all too close together. They didn't sell them all. So they got overgrown. So on the left is David, on the right is my brother Mark, and you'll kind of watch us grow up on this farm where we don't live. This farm is 30 minutes from the St. Paul campus of the university where I worked, where my brother Mark worked, and where our father, he was a forestry professor. I forgot to mention that. So he got the idea for this Christmas tree farm. We meaning Mark and I, because we had an older brother who passed away. Mark is in the background here in the orange hat. We watched the trees grow up, went through the first generation of Christmas trees, became kind of rebellious or busy college students. And so that's how they got overgrown. We just kind of forgot about it, if you can believe it, because it's a half hour away from our homes. And but then Mark and I got married and started having kids and started thinking, boy, did we have fun out there. Yeah, we worked, but it was great. So it was the time that our first children were born, the very early 82 and 83, that we started thinning out, really, I guess you'd say clear cutting strips out of the big trees to plant into Christmas trees. So here you see a fairly narrow strip, I think about 12 rows wide, between some of the white pine on the left and red pine on the right, that are big unsold Christmas trees from 1952. This picture was taken about 7 years ago, I think. So here's a much wider strip. And again, the property is 40 acres. And I don't know if you can see it, your resolution, but way in the background are some houses. Mm-hmm. We are surrounded, we're 30 miles away from the middle of St. Paul. We are surrounded by housing developments. Mm. So part of the, I won't say strategy, but dream or plan is, how long can this remain agricultural or forest and productive economic? So you will see, I'll take a few side steps or side trips as we go through here, kind of related to economic decisions and how it's going, because I'll say it's going very well. It'll be up to the next generation how that continues. So I'm going to jump in here, or transition into kind of the customer's point of view. And I guess I forgot to mention, our last day was 2 days ago, Sunday. We and other tree farms around here were going to be open this coming weekend. There's such a demand for real trees. Everyone that I know of is closed a week early. at least a week early, because some 2, 3, 4 I know have closed Thanksgiving weekend. They opened and they closed. They were done in one weekend. So it's just,
Crazy.
it's crazy. Yeah. So anyway, from a customer point of view, they drive in. They're met by a greeter, given a map, given a hand saw. And this is their point of view as they're coming in. And they are directed out into the fields. They're given a map so they can drive out, drive around, look at the trees from their car if they want. You can see here are some of these, I call them lightly flocked. They're basically painted, but it is a special Christmas tree paint. And anyway, the customer drives out. And what's fairly unique about our farm is there's no big parking lot. There is none. There are all these groves of the 7, I'm almost 70 years old. I don't believe it. They are 70-year-old trees they park underneath. So we don't have to have a big parking lot. We just slip them in under those big trees. Then they wander the farm. We have, looking for their tree, we have little campfires set up, scattered around. And I have a couple of volunteers, guys who just like starting fires and throwing wood on fires. They keep them going all day long. We have a few picnic tables out there. But anyway, they eventually find a tree they like, they cut it. They either drag it, carry it, or put it on top of their car and bring it back to where they came in, which is not a big parking area, but room they can pull over for, say, 15 minutes. We shake their tree, tie it on top, and they pay for it either inside this gift shop, which is in the background. And one of my little side trips is going to be talking about COVID, but this year they can go back into the gift shop and pay, or because of COVID, I think we're using 4, 5, 6 iPads where the cashiers are outside just floating around the parking area, and we'll take their credit card outside. So that works pretty good. And they can hang up. There's a number of activities, some inside, some outside. This is our big central campfire, which because of COVID last year and no vaccine, we didn't have this going because usually this is crowded. So that kind of is what gave me the idea of do these little scattered campfires around the farm. And that was just a total wild idea. Anyway, I don't want to get sidetracked, except we didn't know how many little campfires to make. So we started with about 50. God, can you imagine trying to start 50 campfires in the morning? So it wound up being 17, 18, 19, something like that. But anyway, it was COVID, all the detours because of COVID. So this is this year. Obviously these photos are a blend of history, and the recent ones are all within 5 years, but this happens to be one I took 2 weeks ago. Some of the outdoor stuff. We don't have a petting zoo. I didn't want to get into livestock health, safety issues. We do serve food. We have live entertainment several days. I guess I have not mentioned that we're only open 3-day weekends, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That's pretty much when all the business is. We've tried other things, like last year when we were open 5 days a week. Because of COVID, we thought we'd spread out, just people spread out. Didn't really help. We were just out there 5 days a week, but everybody still came on 3 days. So just kind of depressing. But anyway, we sell a few other things besides Christmas trees. My brother and 2 of his children and 1 grandchild make all of our wreaths. They sell somewhere around 500 wreaths. And they are they're above average to be mild about it. We sell a few pre-cut trees. It's not a big thing with us. Just isn't. And I think I'm ending the consumer experience right here with the outdoor on iPad checkout. I didn't mention they also have the option of just paying online all by themselves, off their phone, do it themselves. But so let's see, I should have a transition here. So how about questions up to now? So maybe take a few minutes if you want. Otherwise, we could save them all to the end. But I've still got a lot of stuff to show that's not typical tree farm. So what you've seen is the typical stuff. But
I'm just curious if you have considered using Venmo or Zelle or one of those.
I use Venmo for other things. I have not really considered it. And the younger generation, of which there are 7, haven't suggested it. So, yeah.
Dave, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I always used to have live trees, but now that I'm older and living in Florida, I have one of those artificial trees that you just plug in as it is. So I have no idea, how much do live trees cost in general?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm the most expensive. So you're all sitting down and this is cut your own. This is okay. So, and I have a very simple pricing policy. You can see I haven't given you the answer yet because it's probably going to shock you. So I just have one price. The people who come to our farm spend some time there. I didn't even give you the sales pitch. We give them free Christmas sausage. We couldn't do it last year because of COVID. I have a commercial kitchen, like a $50,000 church kitchen. I think I have 5 people doing food service. We do cocoa, we do cider. We have it in multiple locations on our farm, so they can just walk over, get it, So anyway, our trees are $125 this year. Last year, when we couldn't figure out a safe way of serving the food. The price was 110. But anyway, yeah, so this year it's 125, and I am the price leader at the high end, and all the other tree farms thank me, and they just kind of lag by 10 to at most 10 to $20 behind me. So they are around 100 to 105, and this is in the Twin Cities metro area. So maybe that's too long an answer, but yeah.
No, that's good.
Dave,
Yeah.
how long does it take you to grow a tree there?
Yeah, so it used to be, and that's going to be one of the side trips coming up here. And
okay.
used to be about 12 years. I think I've got it down to 9 years. This last year was a killer for the drought here in Minnesota. But yeah, I'd say I got it down to 9 years, maybe even 8. Well, I know some I sell at 8. And of course, down south, it's much faster turnaround. But up here, that's what it is.
That's like for a 6-footer?
No, I'm talking about 7.5 to 8.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And what kind of trees do you grow?
Yeah, we have balsam fir is our most popular. We have Fraser fir, Canadian fir, white pine, red pine, also called Norway pine up here. Colorado blue spruce. We have Meyer spruce. We haven't not sold any yet, but we have Korean fir. They're just not big enough yet. So those are main ones. There are some we've tried and don't have anymore, like Scotch pine. So,
Dave, how do you market it? Or do you have so many repeat customers you don't need
Yeah.
to get that much?
yeah, we yeah, we don't really market it. We try to be, what would I say, professional and appealing. We have a very nice website, if I do say so. I continue to do a traditional, conventional mailed postcard, okay, which is truly a waste of money. I like print. I gotta do this till the kids take it away from me. It's really pretty darn cheap, and I do a beautiful postcard every year. So anyway, now I'm getting on a tangent. Yeah, we have an email list, but 3 out of 4 years, I don't even send an email blast because they're all, we don't have enough trees. That's it, or they're not big enough. Okay, it's tough. I mean, it is hard saying I have too much business, but it's our biggest issue. I do some other marketing. I can't. I mean, we have Facebook, Instagram. I do the Instagram. One of the kids does Facebook, and so that's marketing. But oh yeah, we'll get to the photography part. That's really our marketing. So I think I should keep going. When I'm full screen, I've never done this. I have no idea what the time is. It's not on any of the landscape on my monitor. So Robert, you tell me, are we past halfway?
We're just about halfway.
Okay, so now the behind the scenes. Don't you like these kind of tours? So what you've seen what we do when we're open, and why is this a full-time job? So here's some of the things I do on Monday. Okay, Monday, wash day, clean the floors. You get to see the inside of the gift shop here, or half of the gift shop. The far end is when we have live music inside. That's where the performers are, back by that the logo, our logo there. I have a little stage that we spread out and everything. We'll just keep moving here. Clean up other rooms in our barn, or multiple barns. This is actually my workshop. We have 3 workshops out there, but this year it became one of 2 lunchrooms for employees, COVID lunchrooms. So 2 people at a table with the far end, 2 people at this end, air filtration, windows partially open, COVID. Monday's wash day. So here's my basement. Okay, I don't know, I think I have 30 of these vests for all the munchkins that help me out there, who are mostly, they're all from our neighborhood, but kids we know from church, Boy Scouts, relatives, their friends. Monday is trash day. This is about half of the trash from a weekend. So it's sorting, recycling, composting, and trash. These are all jobs for the owner, by the way, because the kids are all back in school. They get to have fun working out there, playing all day on the weekend. So anyway, keeps me busy. Yeah, I've got to sort out the money. A few people still pay in cash. So we just have a nice neighborhood. You can walk to it, bank, and they treat me very nice. They're great. And we talk business every Monday, and that's great. So that's kind of the behind the scenes. So now we're going to jump into some things that I knew I skipped over and you would ask questions about, and they've already sort of came up. But it's 40 acres. This is what it looks like from the air. Housing, I mentioned, surrounds us. Has since the mid-1970s. And that lets you see the strips. We continue to we occasionally harvest the mature trees. As I said, my dad was a forestry professor, forest ecology. My brother worked his whole career for the Forest Service, and he does the management plan for the forest. And So now this was 15 years ago, this last cut, but we do occasionally do just 8 or 10 trees, and then we rent a mill where we cut them up. And my brother likes to he does all our log buildings. He does the planning. I help him with it. I'm going to get into a little kind of transition, and climate change is going to be the theme here. We used to machine plant. That's my brother on the tractor, my daughter Britta on the tree planter, which would mean we could do, almost a couple thousand trees in one day. Well, we could, yeah, if the field was clean, ready to go. But because of climate change, drought, we've all worked in agriculture in some aspect. We know what things are like. So 13 years ago, we put in a drip irrigation system. We'd been thinking of something for the 10 years before it, but it got to the point where this discussion of, should we just sell the property, let it be developed as, housing development or something, or what can we do? So 24 miles of drip line and a whole summer project for one of my kids, one of my brother's kids, and 2 of their friends. And I hope drip irrigation is the most efficient type of irrigation, my understanding anyway. And so here's a macro view of 1 drop at a time. It puts on about a half a gallon in 1 hour per tree. Here's when they were installing it, just cleaning it, flushing it out before they sealed it up. But you get an idea of how it's laid out. And like I said, it's been 13 years, and this has saved us. Because we were, and it wasn't just us losing trees, it was everybody. Although we were the first one in Minnesota, and still are the biggest to go all drip, that we were losing 40 to 60% of the trees we would plant that year would be dead a year later. And so that's no way to run a business. So that's what we did. And here you can see the result. A normal year with drip irrigation, instead of losing half our trees, we might lose 2%. So, and that's from all causes too. Now this year was extreme as you could get. And we did lose about 10% of our baby trees, the ones we planted this year. Drip irrigation is not made to totally replace rain. It cannot provide enough moisture to totally feed big trees like this, but it certainly helps. So typical years, this is what it looks like. I have grass in between our rows of trees, and it's a drought tolerant grass. The grass doesn't directly get moisture from the drip irrigation because it drips just on the tree. Couple of views. This is actually the first acre we irrigated. I'm using it. My brother worked for the Forest Service as basically a statistician, so we keep track of it. On this 2/3 of an acre you're looking at, kind of goes diagonally on the right-hand side. We have kept track of what's happened to every tree there for the last 13 years. As to when it was, when it was planted. Well, they were all planted at the same time. Then as soon as what year it was cut, and some were cut when they were 5 years old. It was remarkable. And when it was replanted, so in this 13 years, we have already sold some trees twice, if you want to think of it that way, only because of drip. It's amazing. It's not trouble or maintenance free. I'm just going to leave it at that because it takes a fair amount of my time in the summer. There are other climate issues related to Christmas trees. this is a damage from a late frost. Killed the, very tender young buds that had been out for 10 days, had a late frost, it just creamed them. Climate change, the other way, too much moisture. This is our, I don't know if you can see the silhouette on the right of our shelter. This is where people come to check out and pay, get their tree shaken and tied onto their car. And this is what it could be like when they came, under the worst possible scenario, where the ground would freeze solid before Thanksgiving, and then we'd get a 2 or 3 inch rain, right before Thanksgiving. It's just a saucer where we are. It came close to happening twice. So this past year, this is my favorite project of this past year, we put in a $35,000 drain that goes under, if you see the hill behind. So it's just one drain, cuts through this hill, takes the water to the other side of the hill and drops it where it flows into a wetland. So it's insurance is what it is, but it's really because of climate change is it. So other projects, you can see the drip irrigation there. And the deer, a fair amount of wildlife out there. We have bees. No, they're not ours. A neighbor, a Ukrainian family, raises bees. I've talked about our family, so I'll show a few pictures here of everybody growing up. Yeah, pointing. Let's see. You can see the cursor, I think. So that's our, whoops. Our son was there. I clicked the cursor and the slides go. I'm going back. Karen would kill me. So our daughter is over on the left here. Okay, and I'm going to get to what she does with the farm. I don't care about my brother's kids. His family has expanded. That's why there are more on that last shot. My brother's on the left there. We have a lot of fun. We still get along. I mentioned he likes building stuff out of logs. I like helping. I'm not as strong as he is, whatever. But I do a lot of the mechanical stuff. We do, he's been president of our association, our Christmas Tree Association. I've been an officer. We've both been involved in the Minnesota Department of Ag marketing groups for different commodities. And so we host tours out there for other growers, for school teachers, for, other groups. So back to my family. My daughter's the older one. My son's the young one, 35 years ago, maybe. Our daughter is in charge. So here's a side business of the photographers who come and shoot at our tree farm. They sign up on our website through like a hotel booking reservation system. The pictures of the cars, because these are all photographers. This is in September, maybe early October, several years ago. Excuse me, they are photographers or their clients. And what you're looking at is about a third of the cars that were there that day, or at that moment that day. I think the most she's ever had at one time are 38 photographers, and they are going to have multiple clients. Some of them schedule clients every 15 minutes to shoot, in which case the traffic is really heavy. So managing all that is a big job. It's a significant source of income, probably, I don't know, 20%. I'd have to do the math. I'm not good at math. I like money, but I'm not good at math. So, gosh, why does it go out of control like that? Oh, shit. Okay, so it's all kinds of different pictures. It isn't just a Christmas card picture, but it could be a Christmas card picture, could be wedding pictures, it could be editorial. I realized what happened here. Lynn Ketchum, give me a lecture, but I dragged in a couple of slides at the absolute last minute, and they had the timing code from the PowerPoint from a different presentation. Anyway, can you imagine doing this stuff, having your wedding pictures taken out outside, in the middle of December? This was this weekend. This was Sunday. This group was out there. So that was this Sunday. I'm trying to wrap it up here. Hope I'm not out of time totally. Because I went backwards. I'm getting nervous. Here we go. Editorial stuff. They have different fee schedule. And I know Robert mentioned that this, I'd never heard of her. This Joanna Gaines came up from Texas
Wow.
and used my, over on the right here. Oh, you can't see my finger when I point. She took all my lunch. They came up in the middle of February from Texas. And these are my soup cans. Because when I go out there in the winter, I always have soup, So I keep about 20 cans of Campbell's soup. So she spread them out all over the place for some reason. Anyway, didn't even ask. Here's where they shot, right there. And anyway, I'm trying to wrap it up here. And I hope I'm getting close. Yeah. So this was the last hour of the last day of our season. This was Sunday night about 6 o'clock, right before I came home. Texted it to my wife saying, see ya, I get to see you again for winter. So now I can calm down and answer serious questions and get out of this screen. And how do I do that? I never practiced. Hey, Robert.
Stop sharing.
Stop sharing, huh? Thank you. Share. Basic. Stop sharing. Hey, Karen.
Sorry, in the Zoom, stop sharing on the Zoom.
Red,
Now, there you go, perfect.
It's like the biggest, boldest red thing on there. No, I don't need you, dear. I'm sorry.
So David,
Yeah.
this is Elaine down in Lanesboro.
Okay.
My niece got engaged at the Hanson Tree Farm on Sunday.
This Sunday just now?
Yes.
Sure.
She had beautiful pictures. Her photographer, it was a surprise engagement.
Wow.
They were having their Christmas tree or Christmas photos taken for their cards.
Oh,
And,
that was the excuse for getting her.
Yes. And she said, I told her, I said, I know the owner of that tree farm, Jenna. And she said, well, to honor this engagement, we're going to buy a tree every year from the tree farm. So there you go. Good
Wow,
marketing.
another customer. So Elaine, now let's see, back in February when you gave yours on this thing, you were pretty closed, right? Are you open again?
We're closed for the winter.
The whole winter?
And we'll reopen in mid-March.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need a place for about a week. So we're going up. We're gonna go to the North Shore, I think, but we could go south too. Got any competitors that are open?
Yeah, we do. I can send you some.
I'll talk to you offline. Okay.
Yep, sounds good.
So Dave, how many customers do you average per year?
Well, I used to say the average is a little under 2,000. Everything's changing. And last year we sold 2,700. And this year is somewhere in between 2,000, 2,700. If I wasn't so busy today, I would have added it up, but I'm going to tomorrow.
Dave, are you doing photography still?
Nope, not at all, unless it's for, something for the company. If I go on vacation, Karen would ask me, oh, you should take a picture of that, whatever, some deal. So I might do 2 or 3 a day if we're on a trip, but no, I'm plenty busy and smoking a lot of cigars and no, a few.
all the work you've done on the place recently, it sounds like there's another generation that.
Oh, it's, yeah,
Tree growth in the family.
yeah, family farming, the generational transition. So yeah, we're going to be facing that 5 years, something like that. So working on it. Yeah.
David, how did you get into the world of people who are looking for sites to shoot things? I mean, how did all
Yeah.
these people find you?
How did it happen?
Yeah.
And I wish I knew exactly if it was just a couple of photographers who I knew through photography and that I, told about it. I recall doing that. But there were also a couple. All it takes is two to multiply. And that probably were Christmas tree customers, but also photographers who then asked, just called me up and asked. And so for 3 or 4 years, it was, just come on out. I didn't charge anything. It was probably more than 2 or 3. It could have been 5 years, lose track of time. And then the next generation started suggesting, as the 2 multiplied, it became 10 and then 20 photographers. And I thought, I put in writing, it wasn't a contract, but it was the guidelines for using Hanson Tree Farm. And I basically asked them to do our social media for us. You're bringing your clients out here, the least you can do, do some beautiful shots, people shots with the trees, put them on all the platforms you use, which I can't keep up on, even back then when I was working. And our kids aren't that techie and don't have the time, they have jobs. So that started it, and it just spread like, in hindsight, it pretty crazy, because we know 200 photographers who come there. I don't know if Elaine, if the one is somebody from down in Rochester, came all the way up here, if your daughter lives up here and found somebody local, but they come from 200 miles. Yeah, we've had them from Milwaukee, Duluth. Yeah, Elaine, I don't know how yours found out.
Oh, she lives in the Twin Cities.
Okay. Your
So,
daughter,
yeah, my niece, yep.
Yeah, or niece, I'm sorry. Yeah. I gotta turn a light on. It's gonna be gross. And I'm gonna turn the other room light on. We've watched the sun go down here. So I gotta do that. Get back in the picture. So you get to see our home office anyway. So anyway, the question was about how the photography started. It was not a plan, but 3.5 years ago, our daughter was still working, 4 years ago, in California at UC Davis. And she was looking for something she could do remotely, to support the tree farm. So that's when we all agreed, let's charge the photographers and you figure out how to do it. And it took off from there. She's since moved back to the Twin Cities, but so the prices, nobody asked, but their minimum fee is $50 for an hour shoot there. If they want to be there for 3 hours, that's for doing mini sessions, they get people in every half hour or whatever they come up with. I think that's $125. And if they want to be there all day, it's $250. And I'm gonna raise the price next year because it was just choked. It was just.
Do you do the photography year round there? Or
Oh
just?
my gosh! Yeah. There's I'll share some numbers that stick in my head that I just couldn't believe. Last January, it was cold. It's Minnesota.
Yeah.
It was $4,000. Who would come out there in January and pay money? I mean, you could do the same thing, just go to a city park or something. I don't know. My opinion. but gives me an excuse to go out there. I plow the road a little bit. I created I like building stuff too. So I built a circular skating rink that goes around that parking area that got the drainage thing put on. They put a laser level on it to get the drain just right. And I'm watching them do it. And all of a sudden I just went, oh my God, I could make this 400-foot skating circle around the whole thing. It would be so cool. And it goes right under our main shelter, the big picnic type log, our nicest one. It goes right under it. You could get married under there. You could have some hockey nut guy who would say, yeah, I'll do that, so who knows? It's the next generation if they want to do weddings and events out there. It's getting set up so they could do it.
Hey, Dave, that last
Yeah.
picture you showed in your presentation,
Yeah.
it looked like there were still a lot of trees left. What made you
Oh, yeah.
decide not to open? stay
Well,
open
they're not
next
big
weekend?
enough. They're not tall enough. We're
How
down,
tall are they?
well, 7 foot would be just about the biggest. I mean, I have probably 3,000 trees that are 7 feet. But I need those trees next year.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we've whacked into this year's supply last year. I mean, didn't we think COVID would be over and done and things would be back to normal? And I'm partially explaining the bump in business this year that for the same reason it happened last year. People just, it's the perfect thing to do outside. You don't have to see anybody. You can, at our place anyway, you can just drive right through, self-serve, park in a far corner or under those big trees, pay on your phone in your car and take off,
Mhm.
So it's, anyway.
Hey,
That's,
Dave, do
yeah.
you shear the trees, in the Northwest? they
Yeah.
Shear 'em.
Yeah, we have to. And we don't do that work ourselves. We might do 10%, but we pay a competitor to come and do it. Yeah.
So Dave, about how many family members are actually employees?
Well, everybody. So, you wanted a number. I was going to make a joke out of it. Everybody, I will anyway. Everybody except Karen and Mark's wife. I mean, so it's a good idea not to, work with your spouse. Although Karen and I worked together 44 years. So that means he's got 3 boys. I've got 2 kids. His 8 and 1 married, 9, 10, 12 grandkids. I don't know, a dozen. There's a dozen.
That's
Yeah.
their full-time job then?
Oh, they're full-time. No. I am the one full-time person. My brother, depending on how I judge him, because the business is mine. I didn't ever say that. The property is jointly owned. The business is mine. And that was just a bunch of reasons, all from the very beginning. And thank God it is, because when it comes to making a decision, it means ultimately just one person gets to do it. And I don't think I would have cared if it was him, but you just don't want to get into a fight. So no, he's half-time probably, something like that. Yep. And then the others are, anyway, yeah, depends on what their position is. The thing could probably support 3 or 4 full-time, depending on what you're willing to accept as a salary.
At least you're not doing annual reviews for your relatives, right?
Well, I tell you, no, and yet indirectly it happens, and that's an issue. So yeah, there are issues. Yeah.
Sure. Hey, is there any possibility of you ever doing like bald and burlap trees that,
No.
and is it because there's too much?
Well, there's 2 reasons. Number one, they would need to be root pruned or, you know, maintained differently than just letting them grow wild out there. And secondly, I mean, I don't grow enough, I can't produce trees fast enough as it is.
Right.
And some humorous but real ways of looking at this business. I used to say, you know, it's one business where you can be open 10 days a year and deal with the public, do all your business in 10 days. You know, if you're not a people person, that's great. If you are, well, that's kind of sad. But that is back when we were open only on Saturday and Sunday, okay, in December, plus the Friday after Thanksgiving. We were open 10 days a year. And we did, well, that's when you do all your business. And we're open Fridays now, I mentioned that, but it's still, you know, there's probably 20,000, well, easily 20,000 people come through there. And so it's crazy. Yeah. And I'm glad this got rescheduled from last week to this week. Or maybe you didn't know that, but it did. So, because now I'm done. I'm ready for a long winter's nap. Or go to a B&B and take a nap. Anybody else? It is just about an hour. What's the next one going to be? Do we know?
Well, I think it's going to be a review of the website and have some people on that know something about our archives and our history that we can get it a little more available on the website. We'll see.
Well, this is Linda. I would like to, I don't know, did you all bring your wine? I'd like to propose a